All right, I want to do a poetry reading of Lana Del Rey's poetry collection, Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass. I've discovered her recently. I've been listening my way through all of her brilliant music. I think she's an absolute, total genius, a pop cultural phenomenon as great as Bjork, let's say, or Radiohead, Tom York. She's in that sphere, that caliber. I didn't know she wrote poetry, so I discovered this poetry collection the other day, and I sensed a kindred spirit with her and Mary Church. Some of the poetry sounds like it has a very similar feel to her journal's Earthblood. Same kind of spirit, kind of low self-esteem-y, but mystical at the same time. And she has a BA in philosophy from Fordham University, which is run by Jesuits, so that's not a minor degree there, even though it's a BA. So she's smart. She knows what she's doing. But the poetry is something different from the pop music. It's got a different vibe to it, a different feel. It shows her facility with words and language. The thing about pop music is that the words have to be subordinate to the music, just like a libretto in an opera. People don't go to operas for the librettos, which can be extremely banal, sometimes even boring. You go for the music, for the grandeur of the music, not the librettos. Unless you're talking about Wagner, that's a different category. But I thought I'd read through this because I think it's a lot of fun and really brilliant, and I just resonate with it. I resonate with the vibe of it. Okay, let's get into it here. All right, Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass. And I like her dedication. Dedicated to whomever's warm afternoon hands come upon these pages. Although this is virtual, so wherever you may find them, and that you may remember that the world is conspiring for you and to act in a manner as such. Okay. Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass. I went to a party. I came in hot, made decisions beforehand, my mind made up, things that would make me happy to do them or not. Each option weighed quietly, a plan for each thought. But then I walked through the door past the open concept and saw Violet bent backwards over the grass, 7 years old, with dandelions grasped tightly in her hands, arched like a bridge in a fallen handstand, grinning wildly like a madman, with the exuberance that only doing nothing can bring, waiting for the fireworks to begin. And in that moment, I decided to do nothing about everything forever. Nice. Dandelion. Bare feet on linoleum. Stay on your path, Sylvia Plath. Don't fall away like all the others. Don't take all your secrets alone to your watery grave about lovers and mother. The secrets you keep will keep you in deep like father and Amy and brother. And all of the people you meet on the street will reiterate lies that she uttered. Leave me in peace, I cry late at night on a slow boat bound for Catalina for no reason. Tiny beads of sweat dot my forehead, could be mistaken for dewdrops if this were photo season. But alas, this is a real life, and it's been a real fight just to keep my mind from committing treason. Why, you ask? Because she told the townspeople I was crazy, and the lies they started to believe them. But anyway, I've moved on now. And now that I've gone scorched earth, I'm left wondering where to go from here. To Sonoma, where the fires have just left? To South Dakota? Would standing in front of Mount Rushmore feel like the great American homecoming I never had? Would the magnitude of the scale of the sculpture take the place of the warm embrace I've never known? Or should I just be here now in the kitchen, bare feet on linoleum, bored but not unhappy, cutting vegetables over boiling water that I will later turn into stew? Some of the rhythms here remind me of the rhythms in my poetry collection, Orpheus in the World Interior, and also a bit of Gravity Girl, which were poetry cycles that I wrote about Mary Church. Okay. What happened when I left you? Perfect petals punctuate the fabric's yellow, blue, silver platters with strawberries strewn across the room. In Zimmerman with sandals on one summer dress to choose. 3 girls' eyes rolled loud laughter, dust specks slit by afternoon. My life is sweet like lemonade. Now there's no bitter fruit. And I like how she puts in a little girly watermelon symbol. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, no thought of you. Of course, that's a reference to the movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotted Mind. She changes that word. My thoughts have changed. My voice is higher. Now I'm over you. No flickering in my head movies projected in Bellevue, because I captured the mood of my wish fulfilled and sailed to Xanadu. The griefs that came in waves that rolled I navigated through, the fire from my wishes wind to a future trip to Malibu. Now everything I have is perfect. Nothing much to do. Just perfect florals, green embroidered chairs, one dress to choose. Well, this is great. Her epic poem about L.A. This is the best poem in the book. L.A., who am I to love you? L.A., I'm from nowhere. Who am I to love you? L.A., I've got nothing. Who am I to love you when I'm feeling this way? And I've got nothing to offer. L.A., not quite the city that never sleeps, not quite the city that wakes, but the city that dreams for sure, if by dreams you mean nightmares. That's great. In other words, L.A. is stuck in Gene Gebser's mythical consciousness structure. It's just dreams, 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 and nightmares. It's all astral plane stuff, as captured in the Los Angeles trilogy by David Lynch. L.A., I'm a dreamer, but I'm from nowhere. Who am I to dream? L.A., I'm upset. I have complaints. Listen to me. They say I come from money, and I didn't. I didn't even have love, and it's unfair. L.A., I sold my life rights for a big check, but now I can't sleep at night, and I don't know why. Plus, I love sax. So why did I do that when I know it won't last? L.A., I picked San Francisco because the man who doesn't love me lives there. L.A., I'm pathetic, but so are you. Can I come home now? Daughter to no one. Table for one. Party of thousands of people I don't know at Delilah, where my ex-husband works. I'm so sick of this. But, can I come home now? Mother to no one. Private jet for one. Back home to the Tudor house that borne 1,000 murder plots. Hancock Park treated me very badly. I'm resentful. The witch on the corner, the neighbor nobody wanted, the reason for Garcetti's extra security. L.A., I know I'm bad, but I have nowhere else to go. Can I come home now? I never had a mother. Will you let me make the sun my own now, and the ocean my son? I'm quite good at tending to things, despite my upbringing. Can I raise your mountains? Reminds me a little bit of Allen Ginsberg. She has like a Ginsberg beat vibe. I promise to keep them greener, make them my daughters, teach them about fires, warn them about water. I'm lonely, L.A. Can I come home now? I left my city for San Francisco. I'm riding from the Golden Gate Bridge, but it's not going as planned. I took a free ride off a billionaire and brought my typewriter and promised myself I would stay, but it's just not going the way I thought. It's not that I feel different, and I don't mind that it's not hot. It's just that I belong to no one, which means there's only one place for me. The city not quite awake, the city not quite asleep, the city that's something else, something in between, the city that's still deciding how good it should be, and also, I can't sleep without you. No one's ever really held me like you, not quite tightly. But certainly I feel your body next to me, smoking next to me, vaping lightly next to me. And I love that you love the neon lights. Like me, orange, in the distance. We both love that, and I love that we have that in common. Also, neither one of us can go back to New York. For you are unmoving. As for me, it won't be my city again until I'm dead. Fuck the New York Post. L.A., who am I to need you when I've needed so much, asked for so much? What I've been given, I'm not yet sure. I may never know that either until I'm dead. For now, though, what I do know is that I don't deserve you. Not you at your best, in your splendor, with towering eucalyptus trees that sway in my dominion. Not you at your worst, totally on fire, unlivable, unbreathable. I don't deserve you at all. You see, you have a mother, a continental shelf, a larger piece of land from whence, and then she leaves the strike through and writes, from where you came. I love that she retained the strike through. And I am an orphan, a little seashell that rests upon your native shores. One of many, that's for sure, but because of that, I surely must love you closely to the most out of anyone. For that reason, let me love you. Don't mind my desperation. Let me hold you not just for vacation, but for real and forever. Make it real life. Let me be a real wife to you. Girlfriend, lover, mother, friend. I adore you. Don't be put off by my quick wordedness. I'm generally quite quiet, quite a meditator. Actually, I'll do very well down by Paramahansa Yogananda's Realization Center, I'm sure. I promise you'll barely even notice me, unless you want to notice me, unless you prefer a rambunctious child, in which case I can turn it on too. I'm good on the stage, as you may know. The understatement of the century. I'm good on the stage, as you may know. You may have heard of me. No, never heard of me. So either way, I'll fit in just fine. So just love me by doing nothing, except for perhaps by not shaking the county line. I'm yours if you'll have me, quietly or loudly. Sincerely, your daughter, regardless you're mine. I love it. I measure time by the days I've spent away from you. That thought occurred to me as I watched the sky go dark from blue. And I like how sometimes she doesn't capitalize. She's got low self-esteem, which is incredible to even believe or imagine, given her being one of the Globe's mega stars. Low self-esteem, not capitalizing the I. And I love her love for, she was born in 1985, and so she never lived in the 70s, and I grew up in the 70s, and I remember this kind of Polaroid, low-res, faded color, Super 8 type of film. A lot of her videos are filmed as though they're like Super 8. I love her nostalgia. Maybe she had a past life in the 60s as a flower child, and is nostalgic for that. So, more LA. The land of 1,000 fires. 2 blue steel trains, and of course that's the reference to the Jamie Lee Curtis movie Blue Steel, which was directed by James Cameron's ex-wife, Catherine Bigelow. Pretty good film, actually. 2 blue steel trains run through the tunnels of your cool blue steel eyes, Vernon, Rock Quarry, the vastness of which has nothing on my beautiful mind. Dylan. I hear Dylan when I look at you. I can see it on my arm in invisible ink like a tattoo. The yin to my yang. The toughness to my unending softness. A striking example of masculinity, firm in your verticality, sure in your confrontation against all elements and duality. The sun to my wilting daisy. The earth to the wildflower that doesn't care where it grows. Vernon, everything's burnt here. There's no escaping it. The air is fried and on fire. I've never really fallen in love. But whatever this feeling is, I wish everyone could experience it. This place feels like a person, familiar, like someone I've stood next to before, but never while I was standing next to you. Thank you for being here, for bearing witness to my vastness. Through the years, I've called you in and out of my orbit. You and your madness, the satellite that's constellating my world, mimicking the inner chaos that I've disowned, a mirror to my past life retribution, a reflection of my sadness. If I'm going to keep on living the way that I'm living, I can't do it without you. My feet aren't on the ground. I need your body to stand on, your name to define me, on top of being a woman. I'm scared and ethereal. And there are 7 worlds in my eyes. I'm accessing all of them at once. Notice that. Everything, everywhere, all at once. The primary symbol for hypermodernity is the multiverse, just as the junk heap is the primary symbol for postmodernity. One to draw my words from, and my muses. Another one I try and harness late at night that lies somewhere off of the right of Jupiter. And then, of course, there's this one I live in, the land of 1,000 fires. That's where you come in. You, Vernon, Dylan. 2 blue steel trains running through the tunnels of your cool blue steel eyes. To guide me far from the world of my early days that I can't quite make out clearly, that beckon me toward high sea cliffs on long car rides, toward a future place, a world unknown to me, made up of something surreal and dripping, flowers and solar systems oversized. You, Vernon, Dylan. No words needed to sponge up the dark nights, no explanation for the globes in my eyes, shoulder to shoulder in the factory light, letting me be who I would have been if everything had turned out all right. 3 alternative endings course through my blood on ice. I thrive because I say I do and because it's what I write. But honestly, if you weren't here, I don't know what things would look like. That's why no matter what world I'm in, I navigate by satellite, Vernon, Dylan, and you and your madness. 2 trains running through your cool blue eyes. Never to heaven. May my eyes always stay level to the horizon. May they never gaze as high as heaven to ask why the wise in this lifetime I've found are inconsequential compared to the magic of the nowness, which is, and then she does a strike through, the solution to most questions, And she keeps some text in down here. I can't read it on here, but I like that. There are no reasons, and if there are, I'm wrong. But at least I won't have spent my life waiting, looking for God in the clouds of the dawn, listening out for otherworldly contact 30 billion light years on. No, I'll let others do the pondering. And while they do, I'll be on my lawn reading something unsubstantial with the television on. I'll be up early to rise, though, of course, but only to make you a pot of coffee. That's what I was thinking this morning, Joe. That it's times like this, as the marine layer lifts off the sea from the view of our favorite restaurant, that I pray that I might always keep my eyes level to your eye line, never downcast at the tablecloth, too nervous to share my innermost thoughts with you. You see, Joe, it's times like this, as the marine layer lifts off the sea on the dock where we're standing, that I think to myself, there's things you still don't know about me. Like, sometimes I'm afraid my sadness is too big and that one day you might have to help me handle it. But until then, may I always keep my eyes level to the skyline, assessing the glittering new development off the coast of Long Beach, never to heaven, because I have faith in man, as strange as that seems at times like these. And it's not just because of the warmth I found in your brown eyes, it's because I believe in the goodness in me, that it's firm enough to plant a flag in or a rosebud, or to build a new life. Beautiful. Never to heaven, I guess another version? Tessa DiPietro. No one ever touched me without wanting to kill me. No one ever touched me without wanting to kill me, except for a healer on 6th Street in Ridgely. Tessa DiPietro, recommended casually by a medium I no longer know. She said my number one problem was my field was untrusting. When asked what to do, she paused and said nothing, which sent me right into uncontrollable sobbing, because there's never anything you can do about the important things. She said, okay, one thing you can do is picture the floor rising up to support you and sink into the back of the bed that's behind you. Too much of your energy is in front of and above you, which for some reason made me think of a live show I had seen. Jim Morrison at the Hollywood Bowl, 1968? Check date. I was born, by the way, in 1968. The blue trellised lights gave him an unusual aura, like a halo or something, made him 8 feet or taller. I remember just thinking he looked out of his body, but definitely like a god on stage. And Jim Morrison was like a god on stage. That dude was Dionysus incarnate. So I told her, maybe an artist has to function a little bit above themselves if they really want to transmit some heaven. Then she told me, singleness of focus is the key to transmission for an emphasis on developing your intuition. Close your eyes and feel where you hold your attention. If it's in the back of your eyes, walk it down to your heart center and make that the new place from which your thoughts enter. Clairvoyance comes mostly from this simple function. Oh, and Jim died at 27. So find another frame of reference when you're referencing heaven. And did you ever read the lyrics to People Are Strange? He made no sense. That's why it's so good. Past the bushes, cypress thriving. Cypress trees, by the way, are always associated with the dead, the realm of the dead. That's why when you go to a lot of cemeteries and mortuary homes, they'll have cypress trees planted, rows of them. I saw you in the mirror. You were wearing your hair differently, carrying the air differently. You say you want your hair long parted in the middle, long in solidarity, worn for all his women, Long Beach, aimless. Your fingers wiping oil on the paper with precision, with decision, like an artist never seen yet with a vision. And here's the effects of the internet on the English language. We get new words like lol, which is now a word, and abbreviated words like the W. With a reason, stared with venom at the ceiling, not the grass, but straight ahead, just at the skyline with precision, laser vision. Time was stopping, moving through you. You dictated by what moved you. Only moving, never thinking. Matched the sun that's slowly sinking at the height of afternoon in the heat of summer evening, like a phoenix, like a chemtrail, like a wavelength. No one's claiming. A reference to her album, I guess, Chemtrails of the Country Club. Georgia O'Keeffe, Georgia Peaches, doing nothing but your painting for forever, forget teachers, forgive them forever leaving. Love is rising, No resisting. Cheeks are flushing. Now you're living. Say goodbye now. No resisting. Live your life like no one's listening. Be the art that life is breathing. Be the soul the world is living. Do what you want for you only. Not forgiving just for taking, no one's listening. At the end of Lime and 10th Street, down the road that's green and winding. Past the bushes, cypress thriving past the chain-link fence and driving farther down the road less traveled. There you are, athleisure wear unraveled. Now I see you clear, standing stoic, blue and denim eyes, not blue, but clear like heaven. You don't want to be forgotten. You just want to disappear. Love these pictures. Sport cruiser. I took a flying lesson on my 33rd birthday instead of calling you, or parking on the block where our old place used to be. Genesee, Genesee, Genesee. Pathetic, I know, but sometimes I still like to park on that street and have lunch in the car just to feel close to you. I was once in love with my life here, in that studio apartment with you. Little yellow flowers on the tops of trees is our only view, out of the only window big enough for me to see our future through. But it turned out I was the only one who could see it. Stupid apartment complex, terrible you. You who I wait for. You. Like a broken record stuck on loop. So that day on my birthday, I thought something has to change. It can't always be about waiting for you. Don't tell anyone, but part of my reasoning for taking the flight class was this idea that if I could become my own navigator, a captain of the sky, that perhaps I could stop looking for direction from you. Well, what started off as an idea on a whim has turned into something more. Too shy to explain to the owners that my first lesson was just a one-time thing. I've continued to go to classes each week at the precious little strip off of Santa Monica and Bundy, and everything was going fine. We were starting with dips and loops, and then something terrible happened. During my fourth lesson in the sky, my instructor, younger than I, but as tough as you, instructed me to do a simple maneuver. It's not that I didn't do it, but I was slow to learn the sport cruiser into a right-hand upward turn. Scared that I would lose control of the plane, not tactfully and not gently. The instructor shook his head and without looking at me said, "You don't trust yourself." I was horrified. Feeling as though I had somehow been found out. Like he knew me, how weak I was. Of course, he was only talking about my ability as a pilot in the sky. But I knew it was meant for me to hear those words. For me, they held a deeper meaning. I didn't trust myself, not just 2,500 feet above the coast of Malibu, but with anything. And I didn't trust you. I could have said something, but I was quiet because pilots aren't like poets. They don't make metaphors between life and the sky. In the midst of this midlife meltdown, navigational exercise, and self-examination, I also decided to do something else I always wanted to do. Taking sailing lessons in the vibrant bay of Marina del Rey. I signed up for the class as Elizabeth Grant, which is her real name, by the way. And nobody blinked an eye. So why was I so sure that when I walked into the tiny shack on Bali Way, someone would say, "You're not a captain of a ship or the master of the sky"? No, the fishermen didn't care, so neither did I. And for a brief moment, I felt more myself than ever before, letting the self-proclaimed drunkard captain's lessons wash over me like the foamy tops of the sea. Midway through, my forehead burned and my hands raw from jibbing. The captain told me the most important thing I would need to know in the sea: never run the ship into irons. That's nautical terms for not sailing the boat directly into the wind. In order to do that, though, you have to know where the wind is coming from. And you might not have time to look to the mast or up farther to the weather vane. So you have to feel where the wind is coming from, on your cheeks and by the tips of the white waves, from which direction they're rolling. To do this, he gave me an exercise. He told me to close my eyes and asked me to feel on my neck which way the wind was blowing. I already knew I was going to get it wrong. "The wind is coming from everywhere. I feel it all over," I told him. "No," he said, "the wind is coming from the left, the port side." I sat waiting for him to tell me, "You don't trust yourself." But he didn't, so I said it for him. I don't trust myself. He laughed, gentler than the pilot, but still not realizing that my failure in the exercise was hitting me at a much deeper level. "It's not that you don't trust yourself," he said. "It's simply that you're not a captain. It isn't what you do." Then he told me he wanted me to practice every day so I would get better. "Which grocery store do you go to?" he asked. "To the Ralph's in the Palisades," I replied. "Okay, when you're in the Ralph's in the Palisades, I want you, as you're walking from your car to the store to close your eyes and feel which way the wind is blowing. Now, I don't want you to look like a crazy person crouching in the middle of the parking lot, but everywhere you go, I want you to try and find which way the wind is coming in from, and then determine if it's from the port or starboard side, so when you're back on the boat, you'll have a better sense of it. I thought his advice was adorable. I could already picture myself in the parking lot, squinting my eyes with perfect housewives looking on. I could picture myself growing a better sense of which way the wind was blowing. And as I did, a tiny bit of deeper trust also began to grow within myself. I thought of mentioning it, but I didn't, because captains aren't like poets. They don't make metaphors between the sea and sky. And as I thought that to myself, I realized that's why I ride. All of this circumnavigating the earth was to get back to my life. 6 trips to the moon for my poetry to arise. I'm not a captain. I'm not a pilot. I ride. I ride. Very dreamy, oniric picture. Quiet waiter, blue forever. You move like water, sweet baby. Sweet waiter, making the night smile to no one. You ex-skater. Quiet woodworker from midnight till later. My lover, my laughter, my armor, my maker. The way that I feel with you is something like aching inside my stomach. The cosmos are baking. A universe hung like a mobile. The alignment of these planets unique. In me, the earth moves around the sun. No land, all sea. Waterworld, sun chaser, tropic of Cancer, southern equator. I'm the crying crustacean sunbathing on paper, moon. Let's rewrite the beginning of this primordial ooze, shall we, my love? Am I being brazen for saying this year makes me feel like we could have wrote it better? It includes some rough draft stuff. That's great. I guess is it another version of it? It is another version. You move like water, sweet baby, sweet waiter, making the night smile to no one you cater. Silent woodworker from midnight till later. My lover, my laughter, my armor, my maker. The way that I feel with you is something like aching inside of my stomach. The cosmos are baking. A universe hung like a mobile. The alignment of these planets unique. In me, the earth moves around the sun. No land, all sea. Waterworld, sun chaser, tropic of Cancer, southern equator. I'm the crying crustacean sunbathing on paper moon. Let's rewrite the beginning of this primordial ooze, shall we, my love? Am I being brazen for saying this year makes me feel like we could have written it better than him? But who am I? Just a girl in love, dreaming on paper, rearranging the salt for the pepper, in love with you, my quiet waiter. Summer, blue forever. Call me when you're done with work. I'll pick you up later. The darker the better. 5 after midnight. The darker the better. My bedroom is a sacred place now. There are children at the foot of my bed. Last year when I wrote you my last letter, the beginnings of my future poetry, I acknowledged you who you were for the first time. I didn't call you by any other name. I let you know that I knew the true nature of your heart, that it was evil, that it convinced me that darkness is real, that the devil is a real devil, and that monsters don't always know they are monsters. But projection is an interesting thing. After you burned the house down, you tried to convince me that I was the one holding the matches. You told me that I didn't know what I had done. You said, I don't know who I am, but I do know who I am. I love rose gardens. I buy violets every time someone leaves me. I love the great sequoias of Yosemite. And if you asked my sister to describe the first thing she thinks of when she thinks of me, she would say, wood smoke. I'm gentle. I'm funny when I'm drunk, though I haven't been drunk for 14 years. I go on trips to the beach with my friends who don't know that I'm crazy. I can do that. I can do anything, even leave you. Because my bedroom is a sacred place now. There are children at the foot of my bed, telling me stories about the friends they pretend to hate, that they will make up with tomorrow. And there are fresh-cut flowers that I grew myself in vases on nightstands, hand-carved by old pals from Big Sur. And the longer I stay here, the more I'm sure that the more I step into becoming a poet, the less I will fall into being with you. The more I step into my poetry, the less I will fall into being with you. The more I step into my poetry, the less I will fall into being with you. The more I step into my poetry, the less I will fall into being with you. The more I step into becoming a poet, the less I will fall into bed with you. In the hills of Benedict Canyon. Love has room to grow in the hills of Benedict Canyon. My green typewriter light is on in 2 months' time between me and my last man. No double murder plots looming over neighbors' vacant lots that I look upon at twilight. Still light enough for the Starline bus to be carrying on. I listen to the hippie spouting nonsense at the foot of Bella Drive, hammering on about Sharon and the sanctity of life. I listen on intently. Thanks for the free ride, and for reminding me that everything comes down to a story and to laugh when you could cry. But finally I have no reason for tears, not tonight at 7:27. First time in months I feel close to heaven in the hills of Benedict Canyon. The background hum of the television love has room to grow. No more secrets, no more reasons to put off what I already know. No more big projects, no new dev breaking ground on Sunset, no big builds lasting too long up on Mulholland. No joint ventures fracturing, no unchained melodies enchanting the bars in my head. No, just no news. Nothing going on at 7:27. Not quite ready for dinner. Just the background hum of television. Me, standing out on the deck, wondering what phase of twilight the sky is in, and contemplating how the Dodgers are doing and reaching for the phone to call an old friend. You're only as happy as your least happy child. Happy. You thought I was rich, and I am, but not how you think. I live in a Tudor house under the freeway in Mar Vista by the beach. When you call, I take my phone outside to the picnic table that I bought from the Rose Bowl, and I listen to the rushing cars above, and think about the last time you visited me, the last time we made love. How the noise got louder and louder during rush hour until it sounded like the sea and it felt like the ocean was the sky. And that I was flying because you were 2 feet taller than me, until you took me in your arms and I could touch the stars, and they all fell down around my head, and I became an angel, and you put me to bed, happy. People think that I'm rich, and I am, but not how they think. I have a truck with a gold keychain in the ignition, and on the back it says, happy, joyous, and free. Happy. And when I drive, I think about the last time my friends were driving with me, how the radio was so loud that we couldn't hear the words, so we became the music. Happy. They write that I'm rich, and I am, but not how they think. I have a safe I call the boyfriend box, and in it, every saved receipt, every movie theater ticket, just to remind me of all the things I've loved and lost and loved again, unconditionally. You joke that I'm rich, and I am, but not how you think. I live in a Tudor house under the freeway, off of Rose Avenue, 12 blocks from the beach. And when you call, I put your sweater on and put you on speaker and chat for hours underneath the trees. And think about the last time you were here lying next to me, how the noise from the cars got louder and louder during rush hour until it sounded like a river or a stream, and it felt like we were swimming, but it wasn't just a dream. We were just happy. I like that one. Sugarfish. Let me stick to something sweet. Sugar on my hands and feet. Sugarfish San Vicente. Sugar, sugar in my teeth. From your kiss, you texting me. From the movie theater seat. Dodger Stadium Slurpee. White confection in the sea. Powder waves froth over me. A fortune teller once told me. Do things that you think are sweet, and a sweet man is sure to follow. So I made a bath that night of honey, dipped my toes in rose and money, stayed all night in that bathwater, even some I swallowed. Now there's so much sugar on me I can't keep the bees off of me. Even most of my thoughts are charming. Some are blue and borrowed. Sugar, sugar, lips and teeth, fingertips, touch emojis, heart forever, hearts on fleek. BB, please come over. Ringtone. I put my third phone in the waistband of my leggings. Only you have this number. 6 plus vibrates with your own ringtone. I smile when I hear simulated children laughing because I know it's you. It's the little things that make me smile. I keep them just for myself. I like you so much. But it makes me nervous when you don't call. Under my breath I say, don't make me be resilient. I so want to be soft. If you let me be myself, you will be the first one who ever did. She's got Ginsberg's howl. I love it. In the flats of Melrose. What will it take for me not to feel like the train will run away with me, bound up like the sad heroine tied to the last car? What will it take for me not to need you so I can just have you for fun and for who you really are? Not you as the savior, not me as Ophelia, not us putting our faith in the public's dark art. So Pangon Sunday, 2 cats in the yard, NPR rumbling quietly, a fire in the hearth, me with a knowingness deep in my heart that nothing could stop me, no valley too far to walk through in darkness to keep us apart. And that we don't need fighting to find resolution, that not every marriage ends in the dissolution, that I don't need you, but I want you, because you're so cool, and I'm not that damaged, and you're not hell-bent on being some indie director or whatever pipe dream you and your friends are smoking. That it's enough just for us to be sitting in the flats of Melrose, my heart on fire, a tall boy cracked open. I love you, Josiah. I'm sorry I'm still broken, but I could still make you happy. Let's pour one out, to knowing, not hoping. Thanks to the locals. I ran away from you to Lake Arrowhead. I didn't tell you where I was going. I knew I had a 24-hour grace period before you were done making your film. I went to an AA meeting, and my share read like a tale of a battered housewife. I felt everyone's eyes on me. The rehab kids in the back row stopped throwing spitballs at each other and stared at me. I fucking hate my life. I waited until after the meeting in the parking lot for any of the local ladies to come up to me. Only one did, Kira. I don't really have much advice for you, she said. I was in over my head, out of my league. In the wrong place, wrong season, wrong time, wrong face. And I knew it, but I didn't know what to do. You asked me to marry you. You said your mother was dying, and you couldn't fathom your life without a woman in it. I was tempted, but it didn't seem like a good enough offer. I wanted more than that, even though I've never had anything. Not one person to call if I changed my dollar in for quarters to ask what they thought about it. But there's always been just a little tiny piece of me inside the size of a small slice of angel cake that knew somewhere, somehow, that I deserved better than someone like you. So I got back into my truck in the dark, my little yellow pamphlet with 2 numbers on it that I would never call crumpled up. Kira with her local area code, and gratefully also her sponsor, Gail from Palmdale. I didn't feel better and I didn't use the numbers, but I thought that I had been very brave, that I did the best I could, sharing in a big room, tears streaming down my face in my high school flannel, just to say, the man that I love hates me, but it would be easier to stay. As the last person's lights flooded over my windshield, the night became very quiet, and I thought, if I go back and I end it, how would I handle driving down your street and it becoming a distant memory? Not reality, no longer sweet. Sweet the way it tastes in my mouth to say your name. Sweet like when I was young, driving down those roads before we were done, before any big battles were lost or won, unbeknownst to everyone except for you and me. As sweet as a junkie's limited concept of love can be. I thought because you were clean, you were a lot like me, wanting to be closer to something big and free. But some people need their secrets. And now my greatest battle will be this unchained melody in my heart from not having you next to me. To shut the door on the past and step blindly into the abyss. No destination intact, the only direction set in the compass to move forward. So I drove back and forth on the rim of the world highway, and the beauty of its name reminded me that I was beautiful. That some things are beautiful for no reason. Not everyone needs to pretend to love their girlfriend just because their mother is dying, or because they're afraid of a change in season. Anyway, I don't have a pretty couplet to give resolution to this poem, nothing very eloquent to say, except that I was brave and it would have been easier to stay. I'm writing my future. The universe exists because we're aware of it. Paradise is very fragile. Paradise is very fragile, and it seems like it's only getting worse down here in Florida. We're fighting toxic red tides, massive fish kills, not to mention hurricanes and rising sea levels. Back in Los Angeles, things aren't looking much better. My treehouse that had been standing for 60 years succumbed to the Woolsey fires. Who would have thought this year at 33 you would be taken out from under me, after all those years? Built from the ground up by hand by your very first owner. Quiet World War I aviation pilot. I tried to save you, but the horses and German shepherds were more important. Paradise is very fragile, and it seems that it's only getting worse. Our leader is a megalomaniac, and we've seen that before, but never because it was what the country deserved. My friends tell me to stop calling 911 on the culture, but it's either that or I 5150 myself. They don't understand I'm a dreamer, and I had big dreams for the country. Not for what it could do, but for how it could feel, how it could think, how it could dream. I know. Who am I to dream for you? It's just that in my own mind I was born with a little bit of paradise. I was lucky in that way. Not like my husband who was born and raised in hell. I always had something gentle to give, all of me in fact. It's one of the beautiful things about me. It's one of the beautiful things about nature. But lately I've been thinking that I wish someone had told me when I was younger more about the inhabitants that thrive off of paradise. That should they take too much, there will be nothing left to give. Not everyone's nature is good or golden, and you can't fight what's in your nature. That's all I kept thinking as we were fighting the fires in Agora. That I'm tired of fighting you. Tired of you taking from me. Paradise is very fragile, and it's only getting worse. And every time you leave, I seem to think about the curse bestowed upon Eve, that fateful Eve. She took that bite from that fruitful tree. You breathed me in Kundalini on this summer night, you in front of me. And you take, and you take, and you take, and you take. But you taste like the beach in a kiss, candy from my watery eyes. In my veins that roll, you run citrus. Watercolor images of serpents on orange trees quietly arise and grow sweet in my midst. And I keep thinking, I could do this forever, just like this. But my heart is very fragile, and I have nothing left to give. Salamander. Get out of my blood, salamander. I can't seem to blow off enough steam to get you out of my head. Soul cycle you to death. Run you out of my blood to San Pedro. And yet everywhere I go, it seems there you are. And there I am. I don't want to sell my stories anymore. Stop pushing me. I want to leave them underneath the nightstand to be forgotten or remembered should my thoughts come upon them in the middle of the night after a beach day, or by you some afternoon to thumb through with your warm after-work hands. I love you, but you don't understand me. You see, I'm a real poet. My life is my poetry. My love-making is my legacy. My thoughts are not for sale. They're about nothing and beautiful and for free. I wish you could get that and love that about me. Because things that can't be bought can't be evaluated, and that makes them beyond human reach, untouchable, safe, otherworldly, unable to be deciphered or metabolized, something metaphysical, like a view of the sea on a summer day on the most perfect winding road, taken in from your car seat window, a thing perfect and ready to become a part of the texture of the fabric of something more ethereal, like Mount Olympus, where Zeus and Athena and the rest of the immortals play. I love you, but you don't understand me. You see, I'm a real poet. My life is my poetry. My love-making is my legacy. You can have a life beyond your wildest dreams. All you have to do is change everything. 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 Haikus. Jasmine in the air. The burden of fame is real. Never felt so clear. You in the soft light, the 405 from Venice, a river of red. Wondering if it's astronomical twilight or civil twilight. Every night I die when I give myself to you. Sad but beautiful. Poets, like comics, are inherently quite sad. Better off alone. I stepped on a bird, cried in my new boyfriend's arms. To live is to kill. For years I begged you to just take me in your arms. You wouldn't. Couldn't. Babe, let's go to town. Buy something sweet. Pink grapefruit. Eat it with sugar. No big decisions to the lake or to the sea. My only question. Open the front door. Hello, I say to no one. I know no one's home. Notes for a poet. I wonder, is that her art? Does she do art too? Wow. Those are beautiful. Nice. That was beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was actually my first read through of that. Amazing stuff. I like how she works in the images with the text. That seems to be a new thing that's coming in, the image text combination, whether it's a work of poetry or like my 3 novels in my trilogy, the Motorcycle Girl trilogy, where I've written novels, so they're fiction, but I've integrated both nonfiction and also images to illustrate the text. It just seems to be the next transformation of literature. Okay,